Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining today's Zcash Arborist Call on May 15th. Today's agenda, we have core stack updates from the Zcash Foundation regarding Zebra, ECC regarding Zcash D, the core libraries in Zale. Zingo Labs will touch on Zano, and we'll be talking about Zcash D deprecation. Research and implementation updates. I don't think we have anybody from Kedit, but we'll still touch on that if anybody has any updates there. And two things from Shielded Labs, the network sustainability mechanism and Crosslink. And then we'll have an open announcements and discussion sections, and it was requested that ZCG and NU7 priorities get discussed. What are Arborist Calls? Arborist Calls are bi-weekly calls where Zcash protocol contributors convene to discuss upgrade timelines and process, protocol R&D efforts, design and implementation of new protocol features, and identify blockers and unresolved issues. The purpose of these calls is to make core Zcash development accessible for a wider set of participants and provide more transparency for the community at large. Anyone interested can participate. Anyone, if you're interested in learning about the Zcash protocol development, please register at zcasharborist.org. And if you'd like to suggest a topic for discussion or present an in-depth agenda item relevant to the Zcash protocol, please email arboristcall@zfnd.org to request a slot. Other ways you can get involved with Zcash, there's the Zcash community grants, the Zcash R&D Discord, and the Zcash Community Forum. And you can find and access all these links by going to zcasharborist.org. And we'll kick it off with some core stack updates, starting with Zebra from the Zcash Foundation.
Yeah, that's me. Thank you, Dan. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So in the last 2 weeks or so, Zebra has released version 2.3.0. Apart from that, we fixed an issue with some optional fields in the get tree state that was causing some issue in the stack integration with Salet and Zano. We also added the size and time fields to a transaction object, which we know caused some issues in Zano and Salet because we didn't realize that adding new fields could cause problems, and that ended up with some discussion we are having to see how we're going to manage that in the future. Whatever is the case, we added those fields because some community members were requesting them to make their applications. Then when we were testing Salad with the full stack, we found some code repeating logs that were happening in the Zebra side. We fixed that. And during the release, we found several CI issues in Zebra that we also fixed. Then we fixed a bug in the HTTP middleware that was causing ordering issues in the upgrades field of the get blockchain info RPC method. We made a big refactor by moving the RPC methods related to get block template that we had in a separate files, and under certain feature flags, we moved all that to the main methods file. We extended validate address to support text addresses. We are currently working adding value pools to the get block RPC method. Conrado is working on that. Aria's working on adding a mempool change RPC method for listening to mempool changes. I think Marek is working on adding shielded Coinbase support to Zebra. Yeah, that's pretty much it, what I have.
Thank you, Alfredo. Any questions? Just check the chat. Okay. Moving on, I believe this is Chris with the ECC update. You're muted, Chris.
Okay, in the past couple of weeks, the major efforts have been, so zsend many is now merged in Zale. So that is now ready to be tested out. It doesn't support the full range of Zcash's ZSend Mini functionality, but it's now working for simple cases. We also have started the process of and are partway through adding mempool scanning support in ZLA. We did take a little bit of time away from ZLA to add address rotation for the ECC mobile wallet SDKs to propagate the work that we had done there through the FFI and to the other side, so that we can now have automatic rotation of addresses in mobile wallets that are using the ECC SDKs. The other stuff that we did, we have a plan now for implementation of so after the conclusion of the recent vote, we have a plan for the implementation of the one-time lockbox disbursement, and have a call out to the community. So this week at the R&D, the ECC weekly R&D meeting, we at ECC didn't have any external contributors there, but we discussed how essentially requirements and options for the longer term lockbox disbursement protocol that we would like to include with NU7. So we had a bunch of good design discussion there. Next week we'll probably be fleshing out the rest of the key rotation mechanism and the rest of the lockbox disbursement mechanism. So if anyone from the community is available and interested in that conversation, please get in touch. I think that's basically it. Oh, we're
Thanks, Chris.
still making progress on Zcash wallet import. There's a lot there.
Cool. Thank you, Chris. Any questions? All right, we'll jump to the next one. Did we end up getting anybody from Zingo? I don't think so. Anything worth bringing up here, Paku?
No, as far as I know, Zingo has been wrapping up milestone 3 from the current grant and starting the continuation grant, like the follow-up grant that has block explorer support, among other things. And I think that's pretty much just the status. I've been pinging single folks, but I don't know, they haven't joined, but that's
okay.
Brief update of what I'm up to speed with.
Cool. Thanks, Paku. Yeah, Alfredo.
Yeah, I know they push a PR to Zebra about transaction and block deserialization, which is merged in now. So yeah, that's something I know they did.
Great, thank you. Yeah, and if they do join, we can always circle back later. So we'll jump to the next topic here. Zcash deprecation. I saw you posted in the chat, Paku, no update or no agenda items.
No, we didn't have any agenda items for the meeting that's earlier today that usually clashes like every other week. So no updates.
Okay. Next topic. I don't see anybody from Kedit, but would anybody like to bring anything up related to ZSAs? All right, we'll jump to the next topic again. And we got Shielded Labs and the network sustainability mechanism.
Yeah, so where we stand on the NSM, we've rebased 3 PRs, Libra Zcash, the Zcash test vectors, and the Zebra implementation for ZIP 233. Chris came back about 2 weeks ago with comments, and Marius responded to them earlier this week. And so far, only the Libra Zcash PR was reviewed, so we're waiting for the others to be reviewed. And then once ZIP 233 is merged, we'll go forward and we'll submit the PRs for ZIPs 234 and 235.
Can you make sure that just that I have the links to everything that needs review, because stuff's scattered around enough that that it's easy for stuff to slip off of my plate. So
Yeah.
just ping in the R&D Discord for the stuff that anything that's blocking you.
In the Zebra channel, right?
You're muted, Chris.
The channel appropriate to the PR, I would say.
Okay.
So
Okay.
libraries for Libra Zcash PRs, Zebra for Zebra PRs, and Zip's channel for Zip PRs, etc.
Okay, will do. Thank you.
Anything else regarding the NSM or questions for Jason or anyone else from Shielded Labs? All right, we'll jump to the next one. Crosslink.
Hey,
Hey, everybody. Oh,
Hey, good.
Rochambeau.
Go ahead. I didn't think you were here.
So, yeah, sorry, I was a bit late. We are close to wrapping up a release for milestone 2. I think we're just blocked on me finishing some documentation. And so this milestone has a thing called mainnet shadowing mode. And so what this is we have a fork of Zebra. We added a BFT system to it. And now you can configure your node appropriately to join a network of other people through the BFT protocol, as well as joining Zcash mainnet. And then the BFT protocol will come to consensus about which proof of work block headers it's seeing. And so that's all it is. It's very rough around the edges. So it has like, placeholders for signatures in BFT, placeholders for full validation of the proof of work blocks, so on and so forth. But it's enough to run and interact with. And so we are planning on putting together like I've heard different things, a lab, a work lab, a party, a thing, next week for anyone who's interested to join. And if you want, you can run one of these nodes and try to connect it to a network for us. So if you're interested in that, I think are we going
I
to
have
make
a
an
little,
R&D? Oh yeah, go ahead.
I have
Mark.
a little slide here if I could share my screen.
Oh,
Oh, awesome.
sweet.
Yep, let me quit sharing, Mark, and then you should be able to.
All right, cool. There you go.
Oh, you win. This is so good.
All right, yeah. So as Nate was saying, on the Zcash Global Discord, we're gonna hijack the voice channel or a channel in there, and have a little workshop where participants with a public IP address and port can experiment with us and sort of run a test flight on this BFT network. And we'll finalize the roster. You can DM your IP address and port to Jason, and then we're just going to run it until it breaks, and then that'll give us some good information. So, and it should be fun, being a good excuse to just be on Discord together.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, go ahead, Nate.
Yeah, just to follow up. Also, if you want to play with the code and just be there and chat with us, you don't have to have a public IP address. That's just to join this network that we want to run. And just to be clear, this is like totally a test network that doesn't really do much yet. But if you want to join and you don't want to join that network, but you want to learn how to run the software on your own, you can join that too. Or if you just want to watch people type Linux commands and hear what we're chatting about, feel free to join.
Cool, thank you guys. Let me jump back to sharing here. Okay. Anything else related to Crosslink or questions for the Shielded Labs team?
Alfredo, do you
I
want
see-
to mention what you mentioned in the chat?
Yeah, I think I mentioned in the last Arborist call that I was doing some TLA plus stuff for Crosslink. So I posted a link in the chat for anyone that would like to take a look. It's a kind of a personal project, but yeah, would be good. Some feedback would be great.
That's really, really cool, Alfredo. Thank you for starting the effort on that. Thank you.
Great. All right, let's click on to the next one. Any open announcements from anybody? Just double check the chat here. All right. Next up, open discussion, which included something that Jason wanted on the agenda regarding ZCG.
Yeah, so this is for ZCG. So the NU7 timeline's been delayed and it sort of lacks this clear timeline for completion. And it's creating some challenges that we sort of need help navigating. So we're running a few different initiatives here around Zcash deprecation, Zcash deprecation work that Zingo and Blockchain Commons is doing. And then we have Kedit working on integrating Zcash shielded assets into the protocol. And what happens is as the timeline for NU7 gets pushed out, so does ZCG's funding liabilities, which puts a lot of pressure on our treasury. So for example, we've been funding Kedit at $105,000 per month for the past 5 months to support ZSA integration. And that was based on the original expectation that NU7 would be completed by the summer. But then due to delays, Kedit's in a position where they're planning a follow-on grant through the end of the year for a similar amount. And we're also expecting additional grant proposals from Zingo and Blockchain Commons. So there's a couple things that can help out. First, we need like clearer, more realistic timelines for completion of NU7. I mean, there have been a number of optimistic timelines, but those have been pushed out multiple times. And then second, we need clarity from the core teams on the scope of work required by these teams. And what I mean by that is like with Kedit's grant, we're currently funding a team of 8 engineers at an average of $15,000 per month per engineer. And this might have made sense when the goal was to integrate ZSAs by the end of June or by the end of the summer. But having this ongoing and like indefinite is just not like viable. So I guess one question that we have is, are we correct in thinking that there should be a fixed amount of work required to integrate ZSAs into the protocol, regardless of the timeline? And can you help us work with these grantees to better scope the grants to specific deliverables and a specific timeline? Because you know, we have limited funding, so these sorts of ongoing expenses are just not sustainable.
Any takers?
I mean, I guess what I can say is that there's not a way to like on the spot decide on timelines. The other thing that's challenging. So I know that Stratondera Emma have been like making some progress on the ZSA integration PRs. Those are like extremely substantial pieces of work to review those PRs and get them in. So it's slow going, and it's especially slow going when there are multiple things competing for their attention. So I don't know right now how to improve the visibility of, you know, timeline priorities.
But so, okay, you mentioned that Dara, Emma, and Strat are reviewing the ZSA PRs, but what we're paying for is Kedit and seven engineers at Kedit, like
Yeah,
on a
I
full-time
understand
basis.
that,
Yeah.
but I mean,
No, but I'm saying is that necessary, right? Like, are they doing full-time work?
I don't know. I don't have any idea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know that that they have been meeting with Stratton Emma on a regular basis.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what they're doing. That's something that maybe Stratton Emma have a better idea, but I'm not confident that they really know much better than we do, or than I do.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe a good starting point then would be to talk to Stradera and the Kedit team and just get a better sense of the work that's
Yeah, I
required
mean,
to get.
it sounds to me like so do you attend their regular syncs?
No, I wasn't aware that they were having regular syncs.
Yeah,
in this.
there are one or two meetings weekly between the ZSA engineers and Stratton Emma. They happen at about 4 a.m. my time, so I haven't been to them, so I don't
Okay,
really know exactly what's going on there.
gotcha.
Alfredo?
Yeah, I have a question related to that, maybe for Chris as a SIP editor. What is the status of the shielded asset SIPs right now?
Um, I believe that the let's have to take a look. So I believe that many of the smaller Zips PRs have been merged recently. Um,
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's one piece
so there's
less that they have to work on if they are already merged.
yeah, there's a bunch that that has been merged. So what hasn't been merged, so we're still working um, on the zip 230 and 246, the transaction format and sig hash. Those that I believe we left off with that at the end of the most recent zip sync. Yeah, so there were a few fixes, and so that's now essentially it needs one more rebase, and that should be also ready to merge. So that should unblock us then merging the the Libra Zcash parts that deal with stuff like transaction format and sig hash and so forth.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I guess that's something less that they have to do if the SIPs are kind of ready. So I guess the CDG can propose to uh, fund less with less money because that work is already done. I'm not sure. It's just a random thought I had.
Yeah, this is something that I think that meeting with both Kedet and Stratton Emma is the way to go.
There was another piece of Jason's question that maybe Chris, you might be, or Paku, placed in a good position. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but there were, a potential follow-up to, or just any information regarding the ZWIF project and blockchain commons and, work going forward related to Zcash deprecation.
Real quick, Dan, Jason's power cut out and he has
Okay.
dropped off the call. So
Okay.
any answers you have will fall on deaf ears, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Okay.
so with respect to the blockchain commons stuff, I've done a lot of work over the past 3 weeks on sort of bashing the ZWIF stuff into shape. There was so I feel like the the approach that was taken there, the ZWIF format seems to have been largely designed by taking the internal representation of transaction and wallet data from Zcash and kind of reproducing those in a serializable format, which is kind of absolutely the wrong way to go about it because Zcash is a huge pile of cruft. So I've spent a lot of time and thousands of lines of code sort of ripping out a good portion of that work. Now I am actively working on the Zcash wallet import using stuff that the Blockchain Commons folks have delivered. that in itself, I'm having to implement a bunch of sort of lower level parsing for Zcash key management types and whatnot, where what we're getting out is basically raw encodings that are again internal to Zcash that then need to be parsed and handled for us to actually use them at the for the purposes of migration and creation of ZWIF and the getting Zcash wallet data into Zale. So on balance, there has been definitely some useful stuff, but definitely some products of not having enough context that have been have consumed a lot more time than I wish they would have.
Okay, thank you, Chris. I don't know if Jason rejoined, but I can make sure he listens in to this part. Anything from your end, Paco? I see you're unmuted.
No, what I've asked around 2 weeks ago to the 3 major development teams that are working on Zcash deprecation is to actually think of a timeline that doesn't have to be accurate by the day, hour, and second. But yes, this lack of the timeline has been a problem when talking to big tech partners, because they need us to tell them when they should be prioritizing work for the Zcash ecosystem, among all the things they work on, because we're talking about like exchanges like Coinbase, Gemini, and others that are that size and have like many competing priorities, and then the conversation kind of stalls on our side because we don't have a specific answer to when caps lock when Z3. So what I've asked is that since the if we do have any timeline, like the accountability on that timeline to whomever is disclosed, if it's private or semi-private or shared publicly, it will be responsibility of the head of the Zingo, ZF, and ECC mostly, which are like the big Z's on the Z3 thing. So I didn't want to like push anything or forward without their approval, their consent, and that's what I'm trying to work towards. I was not aware about this accounting kind of resource thing of ZZG, which makes total sense. I guess that maybe a good thing would be actually scoping what is the workload that it is currently going, and maybe start from there. And yeah, but what I can say from the Zcash deprecation side is that I'm trying to get some timeline, but not specifically something kind of blog post timeline, but something that we can at least start discuss internally, make sense of it, and we have like new information coming, like we needed the input from the community voting and polling, and this if we had a timeline 2-3 weeks ago, we would have to redo it. So I guess now we do have now all the input that we need for some kind of timeline that makes sense, because we know the community wants the CNC mechanism work done before NU7, and that means like before or nearby Zcash deprecation and competing with that. So we didn't know that before we had the results, and now we can like have all the things to work on that. So I guess that's something that I can help. I don't know. If we were in an office, I could bring pastries and coffee and mate, facilitate some meetings, but I don't think it's up to me, but the head of these teams to actually make a sense of it, and we just help.
Yeah, so just to like what I think we can do is with Kedit, I'll talk to Strad and Dara Emma and get a sense of the work that's required and sort of where things stand with the open PRs and just the integration. And then with Blockchain Commons and Zingo, I think, you know, it will be helpful to just get the core teams to sort of review the proposals and help scope it out just so that it makes sense both in terms of like, you know, project management and also from a funding perspective.
Yeah, I mean, with respect to blockchain commons specifically, you may have missed, and so should probably re-listen to the comments I had there.
Okay.
I think that in terms of what is necessary for my use for Zcash D wallet import, that you know, what they are going to deliver that is useful to me, I think they have already delivered. So the other pieces there are going to be related to other community efforts around ZWIF. Now, I would point out that I don't personally yet feel like the ZWIF format is necessarily stable or adequately represents enough of a range of use cases. But that's something where other members of the community need to, you know, other wallet developers. So specifically, Zingo folks and maybe Han, if Han is inclined to use ZWIF at all, like their contribution would be greatly appreciated.
Okay, I'll touch base with both of those teams and encourage them to get in touch with the Blockchain Commons team. Paco and I had a call with Blockchain Commons yesterday, and then that was something that they mentioned as well.
Yeah, they also consider that there's some work that needs to be not specifically done, but like contributed from well developers to extend the extensible well information format of the ZWIF. And also I think that the most important thing for now is the Zcash D part of it, which is in the critical path for the Zcash D deprecation, which is getting the wallet.dat file into some format that then can be converted into other format or imported into other software.
Yeah, I mean,
what I've been
doing thus
or
far,
whichever.
Because of sort of the immaturity of the ZWIF format, I spent a bunch of time trying to make the ZWIF format mature enough, and I have fallen back to I'm currently implementing the Zale migration directly on top of the tools that Blockchain Commons had provided for parsing the wallet DAT. Now that work, I like after I have completed it directly, then I'm gonna go back to exporting it as ZWIF, but essentially having that intermediate ZWIF state when there was so much kind of not well mapped across was slowing me down too much. So I'm not currently using ZWIF as the intermediate format in this exchange, although the work that I'm doing now will lead to being able to populate that intermediate format.
Okay, it's a little bit of salt and pepper, I guess, a good and sad news. Yeah, but well, and thank you for doing all that.
Okay, thank you guys for that update. Yeah. Anything else on that, Paco or Jason, or just on that topic?
No. I guess that we'll follow up with the teams about these follow-up grants, and we will need like input from core developers to actually make sense, because I think that's something that we have fell short a bit, is in that maybe these works needed a little bit more like feedback cycles with the core teams, and they didn't have that, and that's probably what caused maybe this like disconnection between what was expected for the ZWIF and what ended up being. So we will make sure that we can actually factor in like reviews, meetings, office hours, you name it, how we want to call it, but like this feedback loop or ping pong, more informal, where
like the thing
there's
is
review and development with the core team and the contributors.
Just to add to what Paku's saying, like, I mean, one thing that I took away from the call with Blockchain Commons yesterday is that there are significant growing pains having these new teams involved. And specifically, like, I guess Blockchain Commons relied on like Zingo to help scope their grant. And what wasn't clear to them is that they would need to be experts in Zcash D, and they didn't really have that background. They relied heavily on the community, but I mean, they just didn't get a lot of feedback from community members, and pretty much it sounds like they just worked with Chris, which probably took up a lot of your time. So, yeah, I think that, you know, some of it's growing pain, some of it is just we need more communication, which is hard because everybody's already strapped for time.
So there's another thing that could have been done here that we should certainly consider for future efforts of this sort, and that's that it would have been, I think, much better had we had either like the approach to the deliverable should have been more incremental. So, for example, if it had been the case where the goal was, okay, take and using the Zcash dev tool, integrate key material from the wallet DAT with the Zcash dev tool wallet. If that had been sort of the first deliverable, that would have revealed a bunch of mismatches early on. And then, you know, the next deliverable is integrate transaction data, you know, via this path. Like if the integration can go more end to end, then I think that the impedance mismatches would have shown up much earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Any other thoughts on this? All right, thank you all for that. Okay, good. Any other topics for open discussion? Let me double check the chat again. Okay, last call for any other comment, question, concern. Okay. Thank you all for being here, and the next Arborist call will be May 29th at the 1500 UTC time slot, And you can watch for this. Today's call will be uploaded to the ZF YouTube. Thank you all.
All right. Thank you, Dan, for
Thank you all.
moderating. Thank you,
See yas.
Elise. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you guys.
Wow.